So the objectives of today's lecture, or the outline of today's lecture, is to be able to describe a cell. The second thing is that we should be able to explain the cell theory. Thirdly, we should be able to explain the functions of the organelles within the human cell. Very, 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 very good with us. So let's try as much as possible to be doing them. Okay. So the time we agreed in principle was 3 o'clock. And 3 o'clock is 3 o'clock. So let's try and do something. Now, what is a cell? When we say a cell, what is a cell? We say a cell is the basic functional unit of life. Now, when we talk about life, all the characteristics, everything that we can say or say in describing life exists in its basic as a cell, except non-living things. For living things, it goes down, down, down to what we call a cell. So it is the basic membrane-bound unit of life that contains all essential molecules that make up life. Okay, it contains all essential molecules that makes up life. Now, when cells come together to perform a similar or specific function, we call that group of cells tissue. Okay, we call that group of cells tissue. And when, so that is a tissue. And then, tissues may come together to form an organ and like that, and then it migrates upwards. Okay. We are beginning this time around at the cellular level because every disease condition you are going to treat deep. So cells are, and by understanding how the cells function, we can best be positioned to know exactly what came into the body, especially when it goes down to the cellular level. Now, just like you human being, or us we are human beings, we are made up of various organs. We have the kidney, the liver, we have the spleen, we have the brain. All these things are in the body. I found it to make you who you are, or to be able to live life. In the same way, when we split open various organs onto the last or basic stage, which is called the cell, it is comprised, or it comprises some kind of organs. But because it is at the cellular level, we don't call them organs, because they are smaller organs. We call them organelles. So these organelles are within the cell, performing specific functions. Okay, if any of these organelles fail, then the cells are going to be what? Damaged. In the same way that as humans as we are, if our heart fails, if our kidneys fail, if liver fails, if our brain fails, there's going to be a problem for us. The same way that the organelles, the small organs within the cell, if any of these organelles fail, there's going to be a problem for that cell, and it may not augur well for that tissue or organ of that person. So we are going to understand from the basic level why certain diseases, or how certain diseases present themselves clinically. Now, let's look at the cell theory. We are going to look at the cell theory. And as we progress, if there is any question, you either jot it down or you ask, so that you know somewhere that jot it down. You can ask whatever, any of them. Now, we explain a cell. We explain the structure. We explain the function of a cell in a living organism. If we try to explain this, then we are doing cell theory. Okay, so we have to be able to understand how these cells are structured and how they function, their respective organelles, how they play out in the living cell to make a cell be a cell as we all know. Now, there are general characteristics of a cell. Okay, the general characteristics of a cell. One, we know it needs oxygen and nutrition to survive. Just as you human being, your organs need oxygen and nutrients to survive. At the cellular level, they also need oxygen and nutrient to survive. If they don't get it for a time, it will blare up, then the cell will eventually die. Now, it produces its energy. At the cellular level, the cell produces its energy. So we are going to understand the structure and the function of these organelles in the cell, so that when you are doing pathology, you can understand some of the diseases, how they are traced down to the cellular level, like diabetes and all of them. Okay. So we are going to look at that. The third is that one of the characteristics of a cell is to eliminate CO2, okay, and then other metabolic waste. You know that as energy is being produced, carbon dioxide and other reactive oxygen species come up. So the body must the cell must be able to eliminate them. We also, it also shows immediate response to foreign. That's very true. Okay, it shows immediate response to foreign bodies, and then it reproduces by division. It reproduces by division. Cells don't come from somewhere to add to your body. In fact, you and me, we are only surviving because two cells decided to come together. Just two cells came together, and it has gone through cell divisions, and then it has multiplied until we are who we are today. Okay, so let's see. Now, when we talk about the cell of the human body, our focus is the human body. We are not studying any other living organism. So the human body, when we talk about the cell, okay, for example, let's take maybe the heart. When we take the muscles of the heart, we can what? We can deeper and take the myocytes, the cell in the wall of the heart. So when we take the myocytes, it consists primarily of three major components. The first component is the nucleus. Where you find the DNA molecule and all that. We have the cell membrane, or what we usually call the cell wall. Okay, what encases the cell. Okay, the wall of the cell, what we call the cell membrane. Then we have the cytoplasm. So between the cell wall and then the nucleus, everything that is found within the cell is found in the cytoplasm, or what we call the cytoplasm. Okay, so these are the three major components of cell. When you take away the nucleus and you take away the cell membrane, the cytoplasm is where various organelles are found. For example, you have the mitochondrion there, you have the ribosomes there, you have the endoplasmic reticulum, either the smooth or the rough. You have the Golgi apparatus and the lysosome, peroxisome, and all of them are there within the cell cytoplasm. Okay, but when it comes to the three major composition or components of the cell, we are talking about nucleus, we talk about the cell membrane, and we are looking at the cytoplasm. Any question for me at this stage? All right. Now let's look at, this is a typical type of cell, a 3D, this is a 3D version. Okay, so this is the whole thing here is the cell. Now it's been cut open. Okay, a section has been removed. Now this part, okay, this part where my cursor is moving is what we call the cell wall. Okay, the cell wall. So it is within the cell wall that the organelles and the nucleus are found. Okay, so we have the cell wall, we have this, the nucleus, okay, which has been cut open to see the nucleus, and then within there, you are going to see the DNA. So this is the nucleus. And between the cell wall and the nucleus, you have the organelles. You have the centrioles, lysosome, ribosome, peroxisome, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum. All of them are found within the cytoplasm. Okay, all of them are found within the cytoplasm. Okay, so we'll be looking at them one by one. Now, we are looking at the cellular structure. And we are saying that the cell is composed of organelles and molecular particles. So apart from the organelles are themselves molecular. They were built up from the molecules, okay? But the ones that have gotten to the organelles level, we can't really say they are molecules unless we break them apart. So we have the organelles and we have molecular particles within the cell, okay? Within the cell. Now, we know that molecular compositions are made from a combination of two or more atoms. So we are just recapping what we did in secondary school, okay? Whatever it is, you can't run away from this. Once you want to do health science, you want to merge yourself within the health sciences, okay? So we are coming with what? Atoms that are coming together to form a molecule, okay? So essentially, Molecules are two or more atoms that are held together by chemical bonds, okay, either covalent or ionic bonds or whatever. These are just your recap of secondary school integrated science. This one, okay. I know most of you didn't do biology, physics, chemistry, so I'm taking it easy. Okay, so these come together to form the molecules, and we are saying that organelles are made. They come together because of a lot of molecules that are coming together. Or assign that we have molecular particles that are in the cell. We shall be looking at them very soon, okay, that are in the cell. So all these are coming together to function to the optimum, okay, to the optimum. And we know that at the atomic level, we have the neutrons, we have the protons, and we have the electrons that are railing there, okay. So the neutrons are there, have the protons, and we have the electrons moving around the neutrons and then the protons. Okay, so that is Mr. Sim, you have a question. So that is how it is. Now let's look at. Okay, so let's look at. This is what we are learning in secondary school. Okay, so we have Mr. Sim, can you please mute your mic? Okay, so he's not here. Let's try and see if we can progress. So this is that we have here. We have a chemical bonds that are existing between two hydrogen atoms and then one oxygen atom. They come together to chemically form H2O, which we know as water. Okay, so this now becomes a molecule, and these are in their respective domains atoms. Okay, so they are held together by covalent bonds. Okay, so molecules are actually there as atoms that have been held together either by covalent or ionic bonds. Okay, so that is how they are. Now, we are now going to look at the three major composition of a cell. The three major composition of a cell. We are starting with the cell membrane, okay, or the plasma membrane, or what we usually call in integrated science cell wall. Okay, so the plasma membrane. We are saying that let's really understand this because we have to understand how particles move in and out of the cell. Now, we are saying that for the plasma membrane, they are made up of what? Lipid bilayer. So a lipid bilayer surrounds the cell. When we say bilayer, it means the layer is two. And lipid, all you know, is what we call in a layman setting, fat. So it is surrounded by two layered fats, or what we call lipid bilayer. Okay, and the basic structural framework of the plasma membrane is the lipid bilayer. Okay, it is a two back-to-back layers that is made up of what? Three types of lipid molecules. phospholipids, cholesterol, and glycolipids. Okay, we have phospholipids, we have cholesterol, and we have glycolipids. So these form the back-to-back layer of the cell wall or the cell plasma membrane. Okay, now it is about 75% of the membrane. Okay, 75% of the membrane lipids are phospholipids. Okay, 20% are cholesterol, and 5% are what? Glycolipids. So you know how essential cholesterol is for the body. Let's not go and sit out there like some people do. Cholesterol, they make cholesterol look as bad as it is. But we are learning, that is how come we are in school, to learn that cholesterol is not as bad as we make it look. Okay, because your bilayer, you need 20% of cholesterol in there. And not only that, the steroid hormones are made up of are made with cholesterol. Okay, so let's learn adequately, properly, so that we can prove ourselves out there, so that people don't see us as what? Something else. Now, we are saying that phospholipids are about 75%. The remaining 25%, 20 are cholesterol, okay, which are usually steroids. So you know steroids, it is hydroxyl group that is attached to their what? To their to them, to their to them. And then of course glycolipids coming from the glyco. So it's essentially glucose, carbohydrates that is attached to lipids there, like that. Okay, so it has carbohydrate group attached to it, and then steroid have hydroxyl group attached to them. Now, this is a typical cell membrane. Okay, this is a typical cell membrane. And then, as you can see, now watch my cursor. As you can see, this is one part of the bilayer, and this is another part of the bilayer. Okay, so looking from here, you have this layer and then this layer. So it is a bilayer, back-to-back layer. One layer is towards the extracellular matrix, okay, and then one layer is intracellular. So as one layer is facing the outside of the body, one layer is facing within the cell, okay, and the mushroom type things you are seeing here, okay, the mushroom type things you are seeing here, their heads are made up of what? Hydrophilic heads. When we say philic, hydrophilic, there are two things: philic and then phobia. Okay, philic and then phobia or phobic. When we say philic, it means loving. Okay, it means loving. So, sorry. So it means their heads are water loving. So the lipid, the bilayer, the phospholipid bilayer, that is outside, that is facing outside of the cell or facing the internal, this one, it has their heads as water loving. It means they can attract water and water compositions to itself. But their tails are made up of cholesterol. Okay, their tails are made up of cholesterol, and they are hydrophobic. They don't like water. Okay, they don't like water, and that is how come even the cells will be swimming in a water composition. In, for example, the blood cells, they are swimming in plasma membrane. They are swimming in water. Okay, but the water is not getting into the cell to blare it up. Okay, it's because even though their heads are hydrophilic, their tails are hydrophobic. And so you can get to their head, but you can't pass their tail. And look at their tails are back to back. So to be able to cross that bilayer and get into the cell, you need a special mechanism. I think we'll talk about it next week. in a special mechanism. Okay, so the phospholipid bilayer, notice that they are two layers, bilayer, with what cholesterol at their tails, and then um um um, um okay, sorry. So yeah, so let's continue. Now, apart from um their bilayer designed, they have other things on them. For example, you have globular proteins there, you have carbohydrate sugar chain there, and then all of them are there. Okay, we'll the channel. So this is a cell membrane receptor proteins. Okay, we'll talk about this, how particles move in and out of the cell as we proceed. At this point, any question for me? We are down the plasma membrane. Any question for me? Okay, so now let's go to the nucleus. So just as we said, yes, Mr. Samuel.
Okay, so in the cell membrane, the upper layer, which is the hydrophilic head, it likes water, right?
Yeah,
And the hydrophilic doesn't like water.
yeah, the hydrophobic tails. Yeah,
Phobic tails doesn't like water. So meaning that hydrophobic tail is embedded in the skin or inside our body.
yes. So when you take the cell, any cell at all, whether a skin cell, whether a muscle cell, so all I know where I know where your confusion is. So any cell at all, for example, when we take your liver out and we take a cell from the liver and you look at it under an electron microscope, you are going to see a typical type of cell like this. Okay, you are going to see the cell membrane with its bilayer. And then when you zoom inside, you are going to see their hydrophilic heads and then hydrophobic and tails. So any cell at all, that is how it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so yes, Mr. Okay, so now let's continue. There are no questions. So the cell as we have here, we have talked about the plasma membrane. Okay, we have talked about the plasma membrane. Now let's look at the nucleus. Okay, the part here, the nucleus. Okay, we are saying that the nucleus is covered by a nuclear membrane. Okay, and the major component are nucleoplasm, chromatin, and then nucleolus. Okay, so the chromatin is a thread-like material. Chromatin is a thread-like material, okay, that is made up of large molecules of DNA, okay. So it is packed with the help of what specialized protein called his. So let me paint a picture. It's like when you cut open the nucleus, inside the nucleus, you will not see the DNA, but you are going to see something called chromosomes. Okay, you are going to see something called chromosome. How many are chromosomes in each cell of the body? Who can guess? From our secondary school integrated science. How many chromosomes do we have in each cell?
36 or 37.
Yes. Mr. Apia, you wanted to say something?
So I forgot, so I'm not sure.
Want to say something?
Okay, say something.
It's 23 pairs.
Okay, thank you. So it is 23 pairs. Okay, it is 23 pairs or 46 in number. Okay, now when you cut open a nucleus, you are going to see a DNA. Sorry, a chromosome. You are going to see a chromosome, 46 of them. Now, if you take one chromosome, it is, let me try and see if I can get a picture. It is designed in such a way, like our mothers, first, our mothers had a certain um they had a certain thread they used to sew their hair. Okay, let me try and see if I can. Aha. How can I get you to? Okay, so now let's see this. Let me share a different screen. So now see this. Okay, are you seeing the images? Am I
Yes,
off?
sir.
Okay. So this is a typical chromosome. Okay, this is a typical chromosome. Now watch here. This is a typical chromosome. This chromosome has the DNA wrapped around it with the help of a protein called histones. Okay, they are wrapped around it like that. So you will see a typical outstretched DNA like you cut open the nucleus. You are going to see the chromosomes because the DNA is wrapped around chromosome. Okay, so that is how the nucleus looks like. Now, for a typical chromosome, when you unravel them, like just like a thread that the seamstress use, when you unravel the or unwind the thread, that long thread that you have unwinded from this one is the DNA. Now, sections of them, okay. So you can take like where my pointer is. If this DNA, this long strand, you can see from here to here is a gene. Okay, from here to another part can be a gene. From there to another part can be a gene, like that, like that. Okay, so the reason why it is like that is that we have genes because genes play an integral role. The DNA you see long like that, every section has a role it plays, and because they play a special role, the function they play, we have divided them into that sections called genes. Okay, so that is how it is. Okay, that is how it is. I think we'll be looking at that next week. So that is how it is. I don't know if there's any question. Okay. So we are saying that DNA is what is packed with the help of specialized proteins called histones. Okay. So chromatin is referred to as DNA histone complex. Okay. DNA histone complex. Now we are saying that DNA is a double standard complex or double helic. Okay. There is a helical structure like a ladder. a ladder that we all know in our homes that you climb towards, you climb on it to the rooftop and all that. So DNA is like that. DNA is that. Okay, it has these two. So one side of the ladder is the helix. Another side is so we call it a double-stranded helical structure. Okay, that is how DNA is. Okay, and in between them, the steps that you'll be climbing or you'll be stepping on to get to the rooftop, that steps, you know, they are made up of what we call nucleotides. Okay, they are made up of what we call nucleotides. Okay, so that is how a DNA is. That is how a DNA is. We can actually under when it is time for cell division. Other than that, you won't see. All that you can see is the chromosome. Okay. All right. So okay, I get it. So let's go. So we are looking at the chromosome, just as we said. We are saying that chromosome, there are 23 pairs. Okay. 22 are, I mean, and the one is different. So we'll get to know about that. So what is the function of the nucleus? What is the function of the nucleus? It says its major function is control of cellular activities like metabolism, protein synthesis, growth, and then reproduction. Okay, that is what the nucleus does, or that is its function. And it is also responsible for the synthesis of RNA. Okay, RNA, ribonucleic acid. Okay, so they go in there into the nucleus, and then the RNA is copied from the DNA, and then it is responsible for some of the cellular function, all of the cellular functions that we can see. It also controls cell division, and then it sends a genetic instruction to cytoplasm for protein synthesis and all that. Okay, so that's the nucleus. That's the nucleus. I don't know if there's any question for me before we go to cytoplasm. Okay. So let's go to the cytoplasm. Now we said that we have this a cell wall, or a plasma membrane, and we have the nucleus. Okay. In between them are the cytoplasm, which houses the organelles within the cell. Now, within the cytoplasm, we have the jelly-like material in there, like the water component in there is jelly-like. Okay, and that is what we call the cytosol. Okay, the cytosol. The cytosol forms about 80%, about 80% water. Okay, and it forms part of the cytoplasm. It's the water component of the cytoplasm. Okay, then we have the ectoplasm, which is the peripheral part near the cell membrane. It is closer to the cell membrane. And then the endoplasm, which is the inner part that is near the nucleus. So these are the three main parts of the cytoplasm. Now within the cytoplasm, we have all of the organelles. We have the endoplasmic reticulum, we have the Golgi apparatus, we have the lysosome, we have the peroxisome, we have the centrosome and centrioles, we have the secretory vesicles, the mitochondrion, the ribosomes, the cytoskeleton, and all of them. Okay, within the cytoplasm, and each one of them have their role they play. If any of them fail, then there's going to be problem for the cell. Okay, there's going to be problem for the cell. Then we have the so let's go to the organelles one by one. The organelles one by one. Okay, the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, it is a network of tubular and microsomal vascular structures. Okay, which are interconnected with one another. Now, the endoplasmic reticulum has two main types. Okay, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. These ones are notes you can read. Now, let's look at the functions of the endoplasmic reticulum, especially the smooth and then the rough. The smooth one, we are saying that it aids in the synthesis of non-protein substances. Okay, for example, cholesterol and then steroids, they are synthesized in the cell. Okay, now because they are non-proteins, cholesterol and steroids, they are non-proteins. Okay, there is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum that aids in their synthesis or their production. Okay, so we have the lipids, we have the phospholipids, we have the lipoproteins, we have the steroid hormones, and then the sebum. All of them are non-protein substances that are synthesized in the cell, specifically in the smooth endoplasmic sorry reticulum. Okay, it also has a role in cellular metabolism. It has a role in cellular metabolism. Okay, storage and metabolism of calcium. It does that. And catabolism. What is catabolism? Yes, who knows? You may have come across it. Okay. One minute, I'm coming. Yes, Mr. Moses.
Hello.
Yes. You want to try?
Yeah, catabolism is the set of metabolic reactions that break down complex
Can you come again?
molecules into simpler ones in the body. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yes, we are trying. We are trying to get you.
Catabolism is the set of metabolic reaction that breaks down complex molecules into simpler ones in the body.
Okay. 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 Mr. Akwaba, you also want to try, or your hand is... Okay, so that is the work of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, it catabolizes and detoxifies toxic drugs and carcinogens. Okay, there's a question for me.
Mr. Harry, meet yourself, Mr. Harry.
Mr. Harry,
All right. Okay, so yes. So when the cells detect any carcinogen, okay, it's the sole responsibility of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum to do justice to it. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum, okay, it has an attachment to the ribosome. So they aid in the synthesis of proteins, okay, and then degradation of worn out molecules. Yes, question for me. Okay. And then degradation of what? Worn out organelles. So even within the cell, when any of the organelles are worn out, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has a rough endoplasmic reticulum has a role to play in there. Okay. Now let's look at Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus. Yes. Okay. Golgi apparatus. Okay, or what you call the Golgi body or Golgi complex. Yes. Question. Okay, so the Golgi apparatus, we are saying that it is involved in the processing of proteins, okay, and then it is present in all the cells except the RBCs, okay. So that is that for the Golgi body. Now, it processes materials, packaging of materials. In fact, when non-proteins especially are undertaken in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it has to go through the Golgi apparatus for processing and packaging before labeling and then delivery. Okay, so you realize that the cells have a structured way that they are working. Okay. Now, lysosomes. This lysosome, they do a great work in the body. In fact, they are called the garbage system of the cell. The garbage system of the cell. It contains about 50 different hydrolytic enzymes. So there are enzymes that are they destroy, they break down. Okay, about 50 different ones of them. That's the lysosome. And then we are saying that some of the important lysosomal enzymes are proteases. Okay, proteases that hydrolyze proteins into amino acids. So it breaks down proteins into amino acids. We have lipases that hydrolyze lipids into fatty acids and glycerides. Okay, and then amylase it hydrolyzes polysaccharides into glucose. Okay, polysaccharides into glucose, and then we have the nucleases that hydrolyzes nucleic acid into mononucleotides. Okay, mononucleotides. So that's the work of the lysosome. It is responsible for the a lot of what the hydrolytic enzymes that we have in the human body. Now let's go to peroxisomes. Peroxisomes. So we are saying that peroxisomes they are membrane. Okay, it contains some oxidative enzymes such as catalase, uridase, and amino acid oxidase. So what it does is that peroxisome does is that it will be able to release these enzymes, okay, to counteract the work of oxidative oxidative processes or oxidative species, okay, like reactive oxygens. You know that when the body produces energy, they leave a certain toxic substance in the cell called ROS, reactive oxygen species. And these reactive oxygen species, something must be done about it. Okay, hydrogen peroxide too is part. What it does is that the catalase will counteract its work or bring these hydrogen peroxide into about water and then other things that are less harmful to the body, and then they are thrown out eventually. Okay, so that is the work of the peroxisome. So we have something called beta oxidation. Beta oxidation, that is breaking down fatty acids. Okay, detoxification. Hydrogen peroxide, when hydrogen peroxide comes in, it has to be taken out through a process called detoxification, okay, and the catalyst does justice to that. It also accelerates gluconeogenesis from fat. So sometimes when your body needs glucose to burn for fuel, okay, and then it is not getting it bounces or pounces on fat and then creates energy from fat, what we call the gluconeogenesis. Okay, so that is that. The peroxisome play a role there. Then a formation of myelin, the nerves we have, it has an insulator. Okay, that insulator called myelin has a role it plays in there. And then the formation of bile acids. Okay, formation of bile acids. That's the work of the peroxisome. Mhm. Okay, thank you. So we come to the mitochondrion. Now, mitochondrion, if it is a factory, we call that the powerhouse. Powerhouse, okay. So the mitochondrion is a rod oval-shaped structure with a diameter of about 0.5 to 1. Oh, I made a mistake here. So micrometer. Okay, so what it essentially does is that we know that mitochondria has its own DNA too. Okay, so now let's look at the function of the mitochondria. It is responsible for the production of energy. That is what the mitochondrion does. That is what all the energy. It is coming from the mitochondria. It takes glucose. Okay, it takes glucose and then turns it into energy. Okay, it takes glucose and turns it into energy. The process begins from the cytoplasm. Okay, so you eat your glucose, your carbohydrate, it is broken down into glucose, it gets into the cell. Then the cytoplasm within there is responsible for what glucose has 6 carbon atoms. Okay, glucose has 6 carbon atoms. Forgive me, I will not bother you so much with the chemistry aspect. So, yes, so what it does is that in the cytoplasm, this 6 carbon atom is broken up into 2, what we call the pyruvate. Okay, pyruvate. You shall understand this better when you are treating diabetes. Okay, it is broken down into the pyruvate, and this pyruvate goes straight into the mitochondrion. Okay, it goes straight into the mitochondrion to begin a cycle called the Krebs cycle. Okay, so this pyruvate is converted into something that brings out electrons into nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, hydrogen, and all that before it goes into the Krebs cycle, and the Krebs cycle into the ETCs to produce energy. Okay, so when it goes through the oxidative phosphorylation, it brings out what we call the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy, okay, that we use for our everyday lives. Okay, that we use for our everyday lives. That's the function of the mitochondrion. And during the production of energy, the body uses both the glucose, the body needs oxygen. The oxygen in our blood that you are breathing inside this one, your body. Turning it into this oxygen is used. This molecule is broken up into its various atoms, which become very, very reactive. It becomes very, very reactive. What most of you know as free radicals. It becomes very, very toxic. Okay, so these reactive oxygen species are taken care of by the enzymes released by the peroxisome. okay, the catalyst, okay, the catalyst, the glutathione. These are the the free radical, this one that it is able to, arrest. Okay, so that is what goes on in the mitochondria. Now, anything that happens to the mitochondrion where the energy is what is energy production occurs, and then oxygen is broken down in addition to glucose. Anything that occurs there, you know that is going to have problem with glucose assimilation, glucose problems in the body. Okay, so you go deep into the cell, then you realize that diabetes largely to do with the problem of the mitochondria. Okay, has largely to do with the problem of the mitochondria. And so any medication you are doing, you have to study the effect on the body deep down into the subcellular level. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go to the ribosomes. Now, we began by saying that the ribosomes sit near to the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and that is how come the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has plays a part in synthesis of protein. Now, when RNA, messenger RNA, comes all the way from the DNA, it meets transfer DNA, we'll talk about that, transfer RNA, and then it coordinates the synthesis of proteins. Most of the proteins in your body, okay, most of the proteins in your body, most of the enzymes in your body, hormones, all these things, those that are coming from the proteins, okay, they are done in the ribosome. Okay, so most of the enzymes, okay, cytochrome P450 enzyme that are in the liver responsible for breakdown. So all these things are protein molecules. Okay, so the ribosomes does justice to that. Okay, now let's look at the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton. Now we are saying that the cytoskeleton, the main component is to give, just as the name suggests, cell skeleton. So it is going to give the shape to the cell, so that the cell does not really change shape as and when it wants. So it gives the shape to the cell. That's the cytoskeleton. Okay, and it is made up of what? The microtubule, the intermediate, the filament, and the microfilament. These things, when you read, you understand. You do more research on that. So we are done with what? The cell theory at this point. Any question for me before we go to the cell cycle? Have I succeeded in confusing you or? Yes, Sister Eunice. Yeah.
Yeah, sir, please, it's more detail. Can you please give a brief summary of the whole thing? I mean, I'm a bit confused.
Yes. So usually that is how it is. So for okay. So yes, you are perfectly in the right position to be confused. Okay, you are perfectly in the right position to be confused. However, I am going to summarize it, but the summary doesn't really. So you have to go and read more, research more on all that. Okay, so what we are talking about is that we are talking about the cell. The cell. This week is for the cells. Next week we shall graduate to the tissue. So if you don't study this one, we are leaving you. So you become more confused. So we are talking about the cell. And we are saying that there's a theory that explains the cell. The cell has components. Three main components are the cell wall, the plasma membrane, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. These are the three main components. These three main components have their respective function. The cell wall has its function, so the cell membrane has its function, the nucleus has its function, and the cytoplasm has its function. But when you take the plasma membrane off and you take the nucleus off, the cytoplasm has various organelles in there. Some of the organelles are lysosome, peroxisome, ribosome, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, cytoskeleton. All these are part of the organelles in the cell. We've looked at their respective function, the cell wall, the structure and the function. We've done the cytoplasm structure function, and we've done the nucleus to structure function. This is the summary. I hope you get it now. Now we are going to look at cell cycle. Yes. I see a hand up. Lesson. Okay.
Yes, Doug.
Yes.
I want to ask the question. It's like this is a women biology, and it's full of diagrammatic expression. So, during the exam or during our midterm exam, are we going to be faced with diagrams whereby we have to identify the names and so forth?
Yes. Usually for my questions, I don't know how to be, but usually mid-sem is really time constrained. Okay, so you usually have 1 hour to do mid-sem. So I usually bring 50 objective questions, objective MCQ questions, 50 questions, very difficult ones, very tricky ones to answer for that 1 hour that you'll be spending for mid-sems. By the end of sem, you have 3.5 hours to answer my questions. And I can tell you, you have to really learn. So diagrams can come in depending on how I see this class. Yeah, if I have to bring diagrams, I'll bring. If there's no need for, fine, but you'll be fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The cell cycle. Any more questions for me? Those who are more confused, ask questions. So, yes, Mr. Blessing. Okay, looks like it's a mistake. So let's go to the second part before we go to the third, and then we are done for today. Now, the cell cycle, I began by saying that the cell cycle, you and I came out of two cells that came together. The ovum and the sperm cell, just two. No cells came again in addition to these two. And it is out of these two, it is out of these two that came all the cells that we have. Okay, so we are going to look at their cycle. So when we say a cell cycle, what does it mean? A cell cycle. We are saying that a cell cycle refers to the life cycle of a cell. Okay, the life cycle of a cell. It explains all the growth and developmental processes of a cell. So everything about the cell, the life cycle of the cell, when it starts, when it ends, okay, it looks at the formation of a cell from the parent cell during cell division till the period when the cell divides to form daughter cells. So the cells in the body, some do not come from somewhere to add. It is just the parent cell that divides to form daughter cells. Okay, so there are two main stages of the cell cycle. The two main stages of the cell cycle. One is the interphase. The first is the interphase, and the second is the mitotic phase. We are looking at the interphase and the mitotic phase. Let's go one by one. The first stage, the interphase, okay, is the first stage in the cell cycle. The interphase alone is divided into 3 steps. The interface alone is divided into 3 steps. The first stage, which is the interface now, has 3 steps. That the steps are gene 1 phase, the S phase, and the gene 2 phase. Gene 1 phase, or what we usually call the gap 1 phase, the S phase, and the gap 2 phase. Okay, so these 3 phases or steps makes the interface, the first stage. Now let's look at these steps, these phases. The gap 1 phase, gene 1 phase, it is also called the first gap or the gap 1 phase. Okay, in this stage, the cell grows physically large. Okay, see, it grows physically large in the gap 1 phase. Secondly, it copies of a peroxisome here, a peroxisome will be copied here, a lysosome here, a lysosome will be copied here. Okay, so it does the copying of the organelles. 1 minute. So it does the copying, begins the copying, okay, of the organelles and makes the molecular building blocks it will need in later steps. You'll be seeing the diagram. So essentially, the cell will now become bigger. Then it begins the copying, okay, in the gap 1 phase. We come to the synthesis phase or the S phase. We see the cell synthesizes a complete copy of the DNA in its nucleus. So with chromosomes in there, 46 of them, or 23 pairs, okay, it must make another 46 or 23 pairs so that when the cells divide, you won't have problems with any of the cells. They can stand alone on their own, okay. So it does that, and it also duplicates a microtubule organizing structure called the centrosome. Okay, so the centrosomes help separate DNA during the M phase. After the synthesis phase or the S phase, you come to the gap 2 phase. Okay, and the gap 2 phase is during the second gap phase or gene phase, the cell grows more, makes proteins and organelles, and begins to reorganize its content into preparation for mitosis. Okay, so gene phase ends when mitosis begins. We are saying that there are 2 main stages. The first stage is the interphase, which has 3 steps or 3 phases. And the first step is the gap 1 phase. The second is the S phase, and the third is the gap 2 phase. Okay, so the gene 1S and the gene 2 phases together are known as the interphase. Okay, so it's the inter because it sits in between mitotic phases or mitotic stages. Okay, so we are done with the interphase or the stage 1. We are going to the stage 2, which is the mitotic phase of cell division. Okay, so let's look at the interphase. So this is what we are talking about. Okay, this phase. Okay, so this is the cell, it begins the interphase, and you realize that it becomes bigger, and then bigger. Okay, and even here more bigger and bigger. So like that. Okay, so when it is becoming big, you see that chromosomes are dividing, they are copying itself, the organelles in there, they are being copied to itself. Okay, so they are being copied as you are seeing here, like that. Okay, so let's look at the M phase, the mitotic phase. At the mitotic phase, we say that the cell divides its copied DNA and cytoplasm to make 2 new cells. Okay, so it eventually splits up. In the mitotic phase, there's a splitting up. Okay, to have 2 new cells, the parent and daughter cell. 2 daughter cells. Now the parent is no more. 1 cell has divided itself. Okay, so the mitotic phase involves 2 distinct division-related processes: mitosis and cytokinesis. Mitosis and cytokinesis. The first stage, which is the interphase, has three things involved. The second one, which is the mitotic phase, has 2 things involved: mitosis and cytokinesis. Okay, let's look at mitosis. We say in the mitosis, the nuclear DNA of the cell condenses into visible chromosomes. Okay, it condenses into visible chromosomes. It says mitosis takes place in 4 stages: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and then telophase. Okay, so it does that. That's the mitotic phase of the M phase. Then you have the cytokinesis stage, where we say the cytoplasm of the cell is split in 2, making 2 new cells. Okay, so cytokinesis usually begins just as mitosis is ending, with a little overlap. Okay, importantly, cytokinesis takes place differently in animal and plants. So just when mitosis is ending, cytokinesis begins and then ends the process. Then it ends it. Now we have 2 daughter cells. As we speak, this process is going on in you. Okay, it's going on in you. Cell division is occurring each and every blessed day, every second, every minute. Cell division is going on in you. Now let's look at a diagram to understand. Now this is for animal cell, this is the cleavage stage, mitotic phase, where it eventually splits up so that you can get 2 new cells from the parent cell. Okay, so 2 daughter cells. This is a plant cell, so that's okay. So essentially, this is it. We are saying that cell division or the cell cycle, okay, it's just the division of the cell. It's just a life cycle of the cell, and it involves the division of the cell. 1 parent cell divides into 2 daughter cells. Okay, it happens in 2 major main stages. The first stage is the interphase with 3 phases or 3 steps. The second is the mitotic phase, which has both the mitotic stage and then the cytokinesis stage, which ends the cell division stage. At this point, any question for me before we go to cell types? Have I succeeded in confusing them all?
No, sir.
I'm listening. If there's any question.
So, sir,
Can you please go over the divisions, because it was too fast?
Okay. The divisions.
you.
Okay. Let me go back. So this is it. What we are saying is that for every cell in the human body, it undergoes what we call the cell cycle. Now, the cell cycle is the life cycle of the cell. So let me take human being, for example. We can see the life of humans, or life cycle of humans. In fact, you are born. In fact, if it even begins from fertilization between the ovum and then the sperm. So it begins like that. The embryo, fetus, you come out as an infant. You grow through youth, teenage, grow, and you come to adulthood, where you have mastered in your own how to live your life. Then, if it is the will of the Lord, you go all the way to old age, where you'll be holding your third leg, and then you eventually die and go away. Okay, so that's the cycle, and that's the life cycle of humans. Cells to have their life cycle, and that life cycle we are saying is that it happens in two major or broad two broad stages or two major stages. Okay, they have their subdivisions, but principally it is in two. The first is the interphase. The second is the mitotic phase. So the interphase and the mitotic phase. We want on to say that the interphase, now we are taking the first stage, first major stage or first broad stage. We are saying that the first broad stage, which is the interphase itself, undergoes three steps or three phases or steps. G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. Okay, G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. Then you come to the second stage, which is the mitotic stage. Okay, the second broad stage, which is the mitotic stage. We're saying that, or the M stage, we say that one too goes through two main phases: mitosis and cytokinesis. Okay, mitosis and cytokinesis. So this stage, after when you reach cytokinesis, it completes the stage. The interphase, that's the preparatory stage where the cell will now become big. It gets bigger. Then the organelles in there are beginning to replicate. They begin to double itself, divide itself, double itself. They copy itself. Then you come to the M phase, mitotic phase, where you have the mitosis and cytokinesis, and then they complete it by splitting the cell apart. Okay, as we have here. So by this stage, it splits it apart, and all the things that were here in the cell, some will go here, some will come here, and then they'll split apart. I don't know if I've been able to summarize it for you. Okay, there are hands up.
Hello, dog. Hello, dog.
Yes.
Yes, apart from old age, I want you to explain me. Is there any condition and normal circumstances? Is there any condition where the conjugation of the cells can overgrow and then cause a problem, or negatively, the conjugation will not actually conjugate or divide as it's expected to? That will also pose a problem. Okay.
So your question is louder, boy, and I can understand, because you are here to study diseases. So I can understand. But we'll treat that under pathology. Yes. That is the reason why we are learning the normal, so that when we get to the abnormal pathology, you can understand well. There are certain times that the cell must divide, it cannot divide. There are certain times that the cells must die, they cannot die. Okay, so it's like that. It's like that. Sometimes it can happen a lot, and that explains a lot of the diseases that we see. Okay, for example, cancer cases. Most of the cancer cases, the cells are programmed to die at a certain stage. Okay, they are not dying. Okay, they are not dying, and they are there, and more cells are dividing, and they are not dying, and they get cancer. But we'll do that under pathology. You shall understand very well. Don't worry. Yes, another hand is up. Forgive me.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
I want to find out with what you are telling us of the explanation given. It means the cells are very, very, very important, and without it, there cannot be any life in existence. Am I right?
Yes.
So the way it multiplies itself or divides itself, can it be possible that if a cell is suffering, it cannot continue to multiply or divide itself?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We are going to emphasize a lot of things. How infections play a role in the cells division. How infections impede the division of the cells. How deficiency of nutrients, if you are not eating well, how they can play. All these things are there. That's why we are learning the normal. Don't worry. We get to pathology, you shall understand a lot of things. Any more questions for me? Yes. Mr. Forgive me if I'm a Voji. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, please. I came up with the recent question. I have already asked my question.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay. So now we have looked at the cell. We have looked at
sir.
the. Yes, Mr. David.
Yeah, sir, in the second phase, I think the mitosis phase, are we saying that the cells divide into two identical cells?
Yes.
So why two identical cells, sir?
For the cell division, that's the normal processes that cells go through. Okay. So it divides itself into
two identical cells.
The parent cell. Okay, so the parent cell will divide itself into two daughter cells, and they are going. Okay, it will get to a stage that the cell is programmed to die. So apoptosis, they are programmed to die. That one, then they are weak. They can't continue the journey again.
All right. So cells normally die.
When they divide, you have the daughter cell coming out, and the parent cell eventually go.
Okay. Sir. Hello. Hello. Hello, sir. Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So, under normal circumstances, how many days life cycles do cells die of?
It depends on the cell type. Okay. It depends on the cell type. For example, oh, I don't know the line. It depends on this. Where is my network? Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear.
It depends on the cell type. So, for example, there are cells that are programmed to die in maybe 120 days. There are cells that are programmed to die in 90 days. Some cells can go as far as 6 months. Okay. And for cancer cells, they can't die. They are not programmed to die unless you do something about it, or your immune system is strong to arrest them. Something like that. Other than that, they will just be roaming your body out until they are able to clock you die, and then you die and go away. So that's it. Okay. So different cell type. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can we move now? Okay. I was given a list of about 60, 73 or 60 something of your class. I consistently have about 50. Mr. Peter Ofori says, bad network at my place. Okay. Attendance attracts marks. So every attendance you come is 1 mark. Attendance is 10 marks. Okay. Any more questions before we go to the cell types, so that we can finish up for today? All right. Now let's go to yes question. Mr. Emmanuel.
Good afternoon, Doug.
Good evening. Please, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. Thank you for such explanation. Please. So our whole body system is made up of cells.
Yeah.
But sometimes you see some part of our body, especially our face, is being wrinkled. What causes that?
Especially our
face.
Face, okay, the wrinkles.
Yes. Is it the causes of the cell or the cells in our face is dying?
Yes. Every disease condition starts from the cell.
Okay.
Every disease condition starts from the cell.
So what brings the wrinkles upon our face? Because you see that when we are very young, from 16 to 25, you look very young. But as soon as you are gotten to 30 to 35, 40, you see your face has started wrinkles and the rest. So it means that the cells in our face are dying, or they are not producing itself. Please, can you expatiate that part for me?
Yeah. So I'll do that. Is that we are entering into pathology. Cells change shape.
Okay.
So, we are going to look at something called cellular adaptation and compensation. Okay, under pathology, God willing, on Wednesday, I'm sure. So look at cellular compensation, cellular adaptation. Then you understand the stresses that your cells go through. For example, if you're not feeding your body with the right nutrients, your body is undergoing stress. so you have to adapt or compensate. Okay, if your skin is facing excessive ultraviolet radiation, your cells must adapt. So it is most of the things you are seeing, they are adaptation strategies or adaptation mechanism that your body undertakes just to be able to survive. Okay, sometimes you have to shred off the compositions in there. You have to shred off a lot of things. So you see that sometimes their body parts, there are some people, their body parts, they become very lengy, it will atrophy. Sometimes they are all compensatory or adaptive mechanism your body what undergoes just to be able to get going. Other than that, the cells will die, and the cells die becomes very, very dangerous. It becomes very, very dangerous. So that is all these things, the wrinkles, the what you are seeing, they are all adaptive mechanisms. Okay. Yeah. Mr. David, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. So please, my question has to do with we've come to learn that the cells is our everything. So what how many minutes when our cells die, how many minutes does it take for it to rejuvenate, like come back? If my question is clear.
Yeah,
Then
I understand your
the second one is
Mhm.
then the second one is, we've come to know that cancers are formed when abnormal cells develops in our tissues or organ. Let me say in our organs. So what are the rationale behind this?
Okay.
That abnormal cells that is being developed in the organs happens like that.
Okay. I understand. And I can understand your interest in pathology because you came to school to learn diseases.
Yeah.
So when cells die, usually the body is, God has designed the body in such a way that it is on point when it is communicating. Before one cell dies, one cell is already formed. Before one cell dies, one cell is already formed. Okay, and it does that a lot of times in the body. The only problem we have is that when cells that are supposed to die are refusing to die and new ones are forming, then you are heading towards what we call cancer. Okay. Cancer. That's the problem we have. Other than that, cells are dying, cells are forming. Cells are dying, cells are forming. It is a programmed, structured kind of thing that it doesn't really miss. Okay. But when we are growing, we are not eating well. We have anger issues with people. We don't sleep early. We will stay on television for a long. All these things are stresses. That's what will throw ourselves off balance. Okay, and that's where the problem comes in.
Okay. Thank you. I know we'll be learning a lot. So yeah, it just comes to my mind. I want to ask. So thank you very much for the explanation.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Mr. Samuel, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, sir. I want to make a contribution with regards to the face wrinkles, the wrinkles. So as we learned right now, there is cell division, in them or day to day, and as we age, there is something called fibroblast, and then instead of normal cell division, as we age, this cell division becomes slow. So when the cell dies, instead of new one to replace on time, it replaces slowly. It doesn't replace quickly, which causes the wrinkles. I mean, the fibroblast is in charge of the collagen elasticity. Then you require fresh skin. The fibroblast is in charge. So instead of it to replace on time, it does not replace on time, which causes the wrinkles. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any more? question, suggestion, contribution. Okay, so that's great. It means we are getting on small. Now let's look at cell types. Okay, let's look at cell types. Now we are saying that cells can be categorized broadly into two based on its cellular composition of a nucleus. So we have the eukaryotic cell that has what? That has nucleus, and then prokaryotic cells that lacks nucleus. Okay, so as all of us, we have all of us, our cells are eukaryotic because we have nucleus in there. Okay, so prokaryotic cells are usually found in single cell organisms such as bacteria. Okay, while eukaryotic cells are usually found in multicellular organisms like plants and animals. Okay, except some few single cell organisms that have eukaryotic cell like amoeba. So all of us, we have eukaryotic cells. So either it's prokaryotic or eukaryotic cell. But since we have eukaryotic cells, let's look at the types of eukaryotic cells that we have. Yes. Auntie Mercy. Oh, a hand. Okay. Looks like I saw a hand. Okay. Okay, so these are the types of cells we have in the human body. We have stem cells. Okay. We have bone cells. We have blood cells. We have muscle cells. We have fat cells. We have skin cells. We have nerve cells. We have endothelial cells. We have sex cells. We have pancreatic cells. And we can also have cancer cells. Okay, you see that their types, their types are different, but what they have within their cells is essentially the same for all. Okay, so let's look at them one by one. The stem cell. Now, when you hear of stem cells, we are saying that they are unique in that they originate as unspecialized cells. So stem cells do not originate as specialized like bone cell or blood cells or something like that. They are unspecialized, okay? And they can develop into specialized cells that can be used to build. So when stem cells are needed in the blood, when blood cells are off balance, they are few, and then we need more blood cells, and they are not coming. Stem cells can quickly specialize into blood cells. Okay, it can quickly specialize into bone cells. It can quickly specialize into pancreatic cells. That is how come stem cells are unique in their way. Okay, so stem cells can divide and replicate many times to replenish and repair tissue. Okay, so in the field of stem cell research or regenerative medicine, okay, scientists take advantage of renewal properties of these structures by utilizing them to generate cells for a tissue repair, organ transplantation, and treatment of disease. So nowadays, regenerative medicine is on top of the game now, okay, because stem cells are being studied to replace certain cells that you can hardly get themselves to regenerate. Okay, so that is that for stem cells. That is that for stem cells. We have bone cells. Okay, we have bone cell. And the bone cells, we know that they are mineralized connective tissue. Okay, and it comprises a major component of the skeletal system. You know, the skeletal system is purely bones, and a few cartilages and all of them. Okay, so the skeletal system, the bony aspect It's coming from these cells. Okay, there are three primary bone cells that we have. We have the osteocytes. Osteocytes are the bone cells itself. Okay, osteocytes are the bone cells itself. Okay, so the osteoclasts, they are bone cells that are responsible for what? For destroying aged cells, aged bone cells. Okay, they are responsible for destroying aged bone cells. Okay, and osteoblasts are responsible for the formation of new bone cells. Okay, it is responsible for the formation of new bone cells. Okay, so that is that for bone cells. So the osteoblast will form, and then when they mature, they become the bone cells, is the osteocytes. Okay, and all of them. So that is that. You know that in doing this, they need a lot of minerals to do them. Okay, the phosphorus, the calcium, the magnesium, and all that, to be able to put up a very strong bone cell. Then after stem cell and bone cell, we go to blood cell. We go to blood cell. Okay. Now, blood cell too are three main types. There are three main types. Okay. The first are white blood cells. We have white blood cells. We have red blood cells, and we have platelets too. Okay. Now, red blood cells determine blood type and are responsible for transporting oxygen. You know, red blood cells, as you can see them here. Okay, red blood cells, they have they contain hemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin, and that hemoglobin, just one red blood cell contains about 280 million hemoglobin. Okay, 280 million hemoglobin, and each hemoglobin has 4 molecules or attachment sites for oxygen. Let me repeat myself. Each red blood cell contains about 280 hemoglobin molecules. One red blood cell contains about 280 hemoglobin in the molecules. Then when you go to the hemoglobin, to each hemoglobin has 4 attachment sites or 4 chains in there that is ready for the attaching oxygen. So each hemoglobin can get 4 oxygen molecules to attach to itself. Okay, 4 oxygen molecules to attach to itself. Okay, and so when the blood reaches your alveoli, the lungs, where it mixes oxygen, exchange it for carbon dioxide, and then the oxygen goes into the blood. When we say oxygen goes into the blood, what it essentially means is that it is going straight into your red blood cell, the hemoglobin, and then attach itself to the 4 chains of each hemoglobin, and then they are transported away from the alveoli into all parts of the body where oxygen would be needed. Okay, so that is that. So red blood cells determine blood type and are responsible for transporting oxygen. White blood cells are immune system. So when you say white blood cell, they form the immune system. Okay, they form our immune system. Okay, they are responsible for destroying pathogens. and then also serving as what an avenue for, I mean, getting our bodies meet a lot of allergic reactions and all that. Okay, platelets, they help blood to clot, okay, or prevent excessive blood loss. Okay, so sometimes when you have broken vessels, you know that blood will be oozing out. Is the function of the platelet to really put a lot of mechanism together to be able to stop the blood through blood clotting mechanism. Okay, so we've done stem cell, we've done bone cell, we've done blood cell. Is there any question for me before we move on to the next? Okay, it means we are perfectly fine. Now let's go to the next. We are going to the muscle cell. Muscle cell. Okay, so we are saying that muscle cells form muscle tissue and they enable all bodily movement. So your being able to move is not because of the skeleton. Many people make that mistake, thinking that your skeleton is the one responsible for your movement. It is your muscles that are responsible for your movement. What the skeleton does is that it gives you shape. Okay, it gives you shape and protect a lot of internal organs. So your muscles will help you to move. And there are three main types of muscles. You have the skeletal muscle, the muscles that are attached to our skeleton, like your biceps and glutes. You have the cardiac muscle, the muscle of your heart, and you have the smooth muscle that line a lot of your organs like kidneys, intestine, blood vessels, and all that. Okay, so that is muscle cell there. We then go to fat cell. We're going to go to fat cell or adipocytes. Okay, well, fat cells, or what we call adipocytes, they are major cell component of adipose tissue. Okay, so adipocytes contain droplets of stored fat, what we call the triglycerides. Okay, so you have the triglycerides, and that can be used for energy. As and when the body wants to rely on glucose and it's not getting glucose, it will pounce on what? Fat, and then turn it into what? Energy, a process called gluconeogenesis, and then you get your this one going. So when you are fasting and then you are not getting glucose, when you're fasting, your body is not getting glucose, it prompts your liver to release glycogen, the stored form of glucose in your liver. If it releases it and then it finishes, and they cannot get any glycogen, then it will now chance on your fat. That is how come fasting reduces your weight. That's the principle. So it will now pounce on your fat and then take your fat and then turn it into energy. Okay, turn it into energy, and then it is used by yourself for all cellular activities, breathing, sleeping, blinking of your eye, walking, everything. Okay, so that is it for fat cell. We go to skin cell. We are saying that for skin, the skin is composed of layer of epithelial tissue. Okay, the epidermis, dermis, and we have hypodermis too. Okay, the outermost layer of the skin is composed of flat squamous epithelial cells that are closely packed together. Okay, so we have skin cells too. Okay, they pack themselves together, forming a barrier so that nothing can. In fact, it can't really penetrate. Okay, you can't really penetrate. Other than that, we come in contact with what pathogens every day, but they are unable to penetrate our skin because of the protective barrier. Okay, that is the skin cell. Now we go to the nerve cell, or what we call the neurons. The cell of the nerve is the neuron. Okay, so they are the basic unit of the nervous system. Okay, for the nervous system, the nerve, they send signal between the brain, spinal cord, and all other body parts. Okay, so it says structurally, a neuron consists of a cell body and the nerve processes. The central cell body contains the neuron's nucleus, associated cytoplasm and organelles and all that. Okay, so we have nerve cells. This is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like. Nerve cell. So that you realize that the shape, the morphology of a skin cell is different from a nerve cell, is different from a blood cell. But what actually is in every cell stays the same. Okay, so that is nerve cell. Then we go to endothelial cells, as the name suggests, endo, within, inner surface. Okay, so endothelial cells form the inner lining of the cardiovascular system and lymphatic system structures. Okay, they make up the inner layer of blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and organs, including the brain, lung, skin, and then heart. That is the endothelial cells. Okay, and they are responsible for angiogenesis. Okay, when we say angiogenesis, we are saying what? Creation of new blood vessels. Creation of new blood vessels. Okay, and then they also regulate the movement of macromolecules, gases, and fluid between the blood and surrounding tissues, as well as help manage blood pressure. Okay, we help manage blood pressure. Any question coming? Okay. Okay, so that is endothelial cells for you. Then we come to sex cells. We come to sex cell. We say sex cells are organoids, are reproductive cells created in male and female gonads. That brings new life into existence. So it is created in there, the gonads. Okay. So male sex cells or sperm are motile and have long tail-like projections like flagella. So this is the male sex cell, this is the female sex cell, ovum. So they are rushing to go and fertilize one day. Okay. So that is how it is. Okay. So you say in sexual reproduction, as it happens to humans, sex cells unite during fertilization to form a new individual, while other body cells replicate by mitosis. Gametes that so by meiosis. Okay, they do so by meiosis. They do so by meiosis. Then we have, okay, there's a question. So we have, let's go to the pancreatic cell. The pancreatic cell. We are saying that the pancreas, okay, it functions both as an exocrine and endocrine organ. It produces hormones. Also, it produces digestive organs, digestive enzymes. So the digestive enzyme part is the exocrine, and the hormone production part is the endocrine. Okay. Now, pancreatic cells are important for regulating blood glucose concentration. Okay, you know, pancreas play a key role in glucose regulation. Okay, whenever the sugar is up, it is the sole responsibility of the pancreas to produce more insulin so that it can do justice to it. Okay, when sugar is down, it is the responsibility of the pancreas to produce a hormone to prompt the liver. Okay, it prompts the liver. The hormone is glucagon. It prompts the liver to release glycogen, store form of what? Glucose, until it finishes, and then the body now pounces into fats. Okay, so that is how the pancreas is. It does a great deal of work for the body. Finally, we have cancer cells. Okay, now we are seeing that unlike all the other cell listed, cancer cells work to destroy the body. For that one, it is there. So cancer cells results from the development of abnormal cell properties that cause cells to divide uncontrollably and spread to other locations. Okay, cancer cells development can originate from mutation stemming from exposure to chemicals, radiation, or ultraviolet light. Okay, so cancer can also have genetic origins, such as chromosome replication errors and cancer-causing viruses of the DNA. So cancer cells are the sometimes when your DNA, during cell division, when your DNA is transcribing, there can be mistakes in that. Once you have mistakes in that, you are going to get cancer of that cell. Okay. So sometimes it can be genetic in nature when it is transcribing and all that. Sometimes it can be viruses. They can disturb the DNA when they are able to get in there. And then sometimes a lot of things, even radiation, chemicals, ultraviolet, all these things can cause cancer cells to come up. Okay, so we are done with the third part. Cell types. At this point, is there any question for me? Yes, Mr. David.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Mm.
My question is to do with we've learned that per what you've taught us now, we have about 11 types of cells now. Can someone be born and is not having these 11 types of cells? And two, with the cancer cell, are we born with that one too? Thank you.
Okay. Can someone be born without all these 11 cells?
Yes,
the
please.
question.
Yes, please.
Yes. Normally, cancer cells, it comes up, but the remaining ones, all of them should be there. All of them should be there. You can't really have an individual being born without any type of this cell. Other than that, the person would die. It would die even in the womb. In the womb, or as soon as you give birth to the baby will die.
Okay.
Apart from cancer cell, all the 10 it should be there. And then for cancer cells, you can be born, you can be given birth to, and you have problem with the genes. Okay, you have problem with the genes. The genetic material may be problematic, and this, if you not really take care of yourself, you can develop cancer. But more of the cancer is lifestyle, our eating pattern, our lifestyle. Okay, this will trigger the cells, the DNA to misbehave in a certain way. And while the DNA that is controlling cellular metabolism, everything, it starts vying off, then there's trouble. There's trouble. If the cells do not die and they decide not to die, and more sometimes the cells can be dividing faster than it should be. Okay, it will be divided faster than it should be, or the cells are not dying when they should die, and this all can result in cancer. This all can result in cancer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yes, I want to understand a little explanation about the stem cell. In which of the components of the body can we actually identify the stem cell? Because you say it can affect every part of the other cells in development of the body. So it doesn't mean that it can be found in all other cells, or there is a particular.
It can be found. I think you are referring to the body part, whether they can be found in every body part.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and that is it. Everywhere there are stem cells in your blood, there are stem cells in your nerves, there are stem cells everywhere. So they are there. Depending on where problem comes in, then the stem cells, they have that intelligence to quickly change into that, or turn into that, what we call the differentiation. They can differentiate quickly into that, and then it will help. Okay, and then it will help. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Emmanuel.
Good evening once again. Sir, my memory just served me right that when you were talking about the cells, you said that there are there are correctors around the cells, and 20% of the body is cholesterol. So how come is it that doctor will say that we have excessive cholesterol or low cholesterol? So can you explain that part to me?
Yes. Usually, cholesterol is not bad, but there are some type of cholesterol that the body does not need. And so you hear them saying there's a cholesterol type called high density lipoproteins. These high density lipoproteins, your body needs it and needs it badly. There are some cholesterol too, they are low density lipoprotein. Low density lipoproteins are not really helpful for the body. But there's one that is really bad, and that is a very low density lipoprotein, VLDL. That one, it is not good at all. So when we clump everything together and then want to make cholesterol look that bad, that is where the problem comes in. Because your body needs cholesterol, even apart from the plasma membrane, your body needs cholesterol to make steroid hormones. Okay, steroid hormones. So that is that. So sometimes when the doctors are explaining, when they want to explain into details for you to understand, you may not understand. So they will just tell you cholesterol, this. But in reality, what they have found is that your low density lipoprotein or very low density lipoprotein cholesterol is over the bar, it's excessively high. That is when they say you have cholesterol. Okay. So that is it.
So is it so how can you do to reduce it?
What can you do to reduce it?
Yes. Is it a medicine for those things?
Oh, it's simple. Your body always needs fuel. You are eating glucose to feed your body. Once your body is getting glucose, then it means it's not going to touch your fat, your cholesterol, whatever. So you can dissociate yourself from a lot of glucose, then your body will go straight to your fat and then use it. By and by, it will correct itself.
Okay.
That is how can we teach and say that it is not physiologically right to eat 7 days in a week. At least the 24 hours you have, 24 hours you have in a week. There's 24 hours, no food should enter your mouth so that your body can chance on these things to use it for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mr. Peter Yao. Your question.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you. So, only food that causes the cells damage.
Cell damage.
Yeah, the cells that you can get all these disease of cancer and.
Yeah, some foods can cause it. Radiation can cause it. A lot of things, even medicine, some of the medicine, pharmaceutical, this one can cause it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Mr. Akwabua.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Okay. My question is, when you die, how many years does your DNA stay before he died?
Okay. So your DNA, you see, because every cell of the body has DNA. Every cell of the body has DNA, including your bones. You know your bones, it takes a longer time for your bones to decompose. And even your hair too, yeah. It can get the cells to do this one. So it depends. You when someone dies, it can take a longer time, and then you go and get the bones to analyze. Okay, go and get the bones to analyze, and then you can make your deductions. Okay, except that there are soft tissues like the skin, the muscles, the skin. Sorry, the muscle, the skin, the organs that are soft. The soft, that one they will rot. They will rot early, but you can get bones and hair to analyze. Okay, is it okay?
Please, I think you didn't answer the section where you said how long do they stay when somebody is dead? If we can go over that one.
The DNA. Yes, I was trying to say that every part of your body is a cell, and the cell, it is the cell that we have the DNA in. Okay, so when, for example, you die and then you are buried, your heart will rot, your muscles will rot, your this one, but we can get your bone. Once you get your bone, you can take your bone and go and analyze the cell. Okay, so the part of the body that remains, as long as they remain, they have that DNA. Okay, as long as they remain, they have that DNA, and then we can analyze it. Okay.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Christiana.
Okay.
So, yeah, my question is in line with the cancer cells. Now, why is it so difficult that the mainstream, I mean, the conventional, is not able to clear this cancer cells from the human body, even after letting their patients go through these big therapies that we know, such as chemotherapy and radiotherapy? Well, what I know is based on the cases I've handled, after they have gone through it, maybe a year or two, it comes back in a big time and even more aggressive. Is there any explanation to this? Thank you.
Yes, for cancer cells, you know the how cancer comes about. Okay, sometimes it may be genetic. Okay, it may be genetic, and for genetic, this one, even if you radiate it or you go through the ablation, when it is ablated, you are able to tame it. Because it is genetic in origin, it may come again. So no two ways about that. But sometimes our lifestyle can also come with cancers. So if you're able to identify the lifestyle that you are in, that you stop, when you are able to stop, and then you're able to tame this one, it may not come again. Cancer radiotherapy can, in fact, some of the evidence suggests that it can do justice to it. Okay, but sometimes they identify it quite late. Maybe you are in stage 4, stage 5, stage 6, maybe that time may be too late. But stage 1, stage 2 ablation and radiotherapy can sometimes do justice to it. Okay, especially when it's lifestyle and then you are able to identify it, then you are good to go. Okay, so that's how it is. Even though we really don't have very good news when it comes to cancer cases, but that's the truth. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sister Kate.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Good evening, please.
Good evening.
Yeah, please. Talking about the cell, the cholesterol. I remember years back in biology, drawing the cell, the diagram, and the label. We have the lipid and the sterol. So does it mean that the good cholesterols are the lipid and sterols in the cells?
Okay, so lipids is the general term for fats. Okay, you know, for we practitioners, as we are in school, whether the thing is in the oil, in the liquid stage, or in the solid stage, they are all lipids. Whether it is oil, whether it is solid stage, they are all oil. Okay, so that's the lipids. Steroids is a type of lipid. Okay, steroid is a type of lipid. In fact, it is a type of hormone that is made with lipid. Let me put it that way. It's a type of hormone that is made with lipids. Okay, so you can find lipids in there, or what you call cholesterol in there. Okay, so that is how it is. Maybe as we are advancing, then we begin to see everything clear. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Yes, Mr. Okay, Mr. Akwabwa wants to come in again. Okay, so let's go to Mr. Menu. Am I right?
Yes, sir, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please, there is something that is confusing me. When you were, talking about the bone cells, you made mention of, you said bones. We should bear in mind that bones does not help in our movement. But that one is confusing me because without the bone, how can the body be on its feet to move? And it is being the framework of the body. So I don't understand why you were saying it is not. It can't help us in movement. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So I was saying that every part of the body aids our movement. When we are moving, our eyes are functioning, our ears are functioning, our every part aids movement. But there's one every part of the body and its principal function. Okay, when we ask you the principal function of bones, it is not movement, it is shape and then protection of internal organs. To be able to move any part of your body, it is the work of the muscle, skeletal muscle. Okay, they contract and relax to cause movement. Okay, so let's really get this so that we shall not really confuse ourselves when we are going. So when you want to move, it is your skeletal muscle, your muscle that must be in operation to get you to move. That's the principal function. The principal function of the bones or skeletal system is to give you shape, is to give you protection from internal organs and all of them. Okay, so that is it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Mr. Peter.
Yes, sir. Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I want to get follow-up question from Dr. Kiti's own. Why is it that always cancer gets to the end stage before
Hello. Good evening, Mama.
Did you get my question?
No, there's noise behind. So
Yeah, I'm saying.
Somebody is making
Madam Doctor, please, we plead with you to off your mic. Oh.
Yeah, sir, please, I'm asking that. Why is it that always cancer gets to the end stage before it's detected?
yes, that is true, because some of the cancers, their clinical presentation, most people do not know. Okay, most people do not know that this thing I am experiencing, it is a classical sign of the development of cancer. Sometimes too, you go to the hospital with a certain symptom, and the diagnosis the doctor will make the mind will not be pulled or go closer towards cancer. Okay, I've experienced a lot of these things. They go to the hospital, they report their condition, then before you realize they see something different, they give medication, but that thing will be there. Okay, so individuals do not understand how these things come about and what they need to know when it is that. And then sometimes the clinicians too are unable to detect it early. Okay, by the time they detect it, it's too late. So that is it.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Mr. Ima.
Sir, please, can herbal medicine revive cancer cells?
Can herbal medicine, in fact, permit me to say this so that I don't implicate myself. When it comes to research, scientific research, documented scientific research, then we don't have any herbal medicine that does that. In fact, the farthest that they have ever gone was an in vivo study. They did it in test tube. Okay, they did this one in test tube. So they take cancer cells, they put it in test tube. They take some of the herbal, this one, they put it in test tube, and it is able to kill the cancer cell. But whether they have gone on to the last stage of doing human trials, that one no one wants to do, because if they go and do the trial and they are able to document that this plant kills cancer, their money will not come again. They can't patent it. Okay, they can't patent it. Once they can't patent it, it means it becomes a problem. So that is what it is now.
So no herbal medicine can revive cancer cells.
No, I'm not saying no herbal medicine done. I'm saying that scientifically researched and documented, we don't have any. But maybe some people may say they have it and they have done it, but it has not gone to that stage where we can do clinical trials for a group of people, a population. Then we can see that when we did the clinical trials of maybe 200 people or 500 people, maybe 300 got better, this one 200, that one, the financiers don't want to do it because they are the people who are into pharmaceutical, this one, you get it. And so that is what the problem we are having.
They are businessmen, so he doesn't want to to prove that one. Okay.
You know, sesop plant have been identified in vivo as being able to kill cancer cells. Mango leaves, they are plenty, but they have not gone to the stage of doing human clinical trials, because if they do and they are able to approve it, the medication they do for cancers they won't get money again. And you can't patent a plant. Plant now I have planted in my house. You can't come and claim ownership of it. It's not possible. And so since it is not possible, they don't want to do it. That is what is happening. Okay. So
Doc, I want to come in small here. So what they are doing now is that even though they are finding that the herbal thing is curing the cancer, they will tell you, don't even mention that you use it to cure cancer, because I had an example. Somebody who was written off at Kolibu after 5 years and was told to go home and die. I was called on, and then I given some medications. For 2 years, the person was having change because there are certain herbs that were breaking the cancer cells and were building new protoplasm. So all that the doctors had to tell the husband of the woman is that we don't know exactly what you are doing and you are getting those results, so just go ahead. But when I went forward to talk to somebody at FDA, he said, we have realized it, but don't ever say you are curing cancer. Just say it's body booster. So what you are saying is true, that it's happening. There are herbs that are actually curing cancer, but because they don't want their money-making portions to go off, they are blocking that chance. And people are dying because of that.
Yeah. So that is it. One man came out that he identified Shilajit as anti-cancer treatment. This one, he's no more. So we are living in a system. I just don't want to go detail. Pastor Henry.
Yeah, good evening, Doc, and then to colleagues. I think the truth of the matter is that we have a lot of herbs that are able to kill cancer cells. And like you have all said, I mean, the masters that are there wouldn't want it to happen. So we should, I mean, and our governments too are not helping us. Our leaders are not helping us. If they are really helping us, like Nigeria and other places have done, we'll also be bold enough and then, I mean, go ahead and then do the clinical trials and what have you, so that we can, I mean, hold some of these things. But they are afraid, all because of the begging thing that we have been doing.
Yeah.
And there are those that we go to and then to beg. So how then do we, I mean, meanwhile, all the good things are here in our souls, and they are really doing the work. And they can never, whatever they even have, even with the orthodox medicines, it's not from the plants that they extract the chemicals and then they do whatever they will do. So it's like that. I don't think we'll be able to get there now as of really being able to, I mean, to come out with that, to go through the clinical trials and maybe be successful and then to project what we have. They will not allow us.
Yeah.
But the little we can, we will do in our own small ways. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Pastor Henry, where are you currently?
I am in the mid South Ghana, Cape Coast.
Okay. That's
so I'm
good.
here with Pastor Muasan as our president. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Mr. Kumsen, your hand is up. Mr. Kumsen. Okay, Mr. David.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Sorry. Say.
Okay, Mr. Kumsen, yeah.
Okay, so good evening, class. Okay, so my network is not that active, so I need to know whether my question is being asked or not. Now, my question is, how can a practitioner diagnose a patient of a cancer?
Oh, okay. So, I understand your question. So, you will do clinical examination, you go through this. But one thing is certain, okay, you are going to do your history taking, you will do your, when you do your history taking, you corroborate it with what the person is telling you. You try and then make deductions, you do your differentials, and then you realize that, okay, then if there's any physical examination I have to do. If I have to go and do a scan, I have to go and do a X-ray, I have to go and do X-ray. And usually when the cancer has spread, you go and do cancer antigen test. Okay, cancer antigen test. If it is positive, you know that, then you look for where it is. Sometimes if it has not spread, sometimes you likely may not get positive results in the, but the thing has started. So maybe scan, ultrasound. You can do ultrasound if it is about the organs in the abdomen. You can do X-ray. You can do this one. So you go through it by and by. You do your lab investigation. You do your medical imaging. You do your clinical examination, and then you eventually know how it is done, and then you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. Mr. Diodu.
Yeah. Doc, once again, the reason why I asked you that, do we have a cure for cancerous person? Because a friend of mine was suffering from the same disease. And I knew that mango leaves and ginger can even bring a certain remedy. So, yes, like what you said. And he's now recovering. That's why I just asked you that question.
Yeah.
Yes, because he has been through hospitals, he have gone through all the diagnosis, done all the necessary tests, but still he was not recovering. So when I applied that medicine for him, he's now recovering.
Yeah.
And he has been to the same hospital, and the doctors were amazed, and they asked him, and he said that this that I've done for him. So the doctor called me, yeah, and was asking me who taught me this and this, and I said I learned it from my mom. I add this, I add this, I add this, and he said, really? That's why I just asked you that we have a herbal medicine that can eradicate a cancer from the person's system.
Yeah. So people have experiences, but you can't say anywhere unless you say, if you say want to say, then you have to show that scientific journal, scientific research work, and there is none for now. Okay. So you keep it to yourself, and then when you have a patient you want to try that, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
I know of mango. In vivo studies shows that mango leaves can kill cancer cells in vivo studies. But why is it that they don't want to move to human clinical trials? Even they even came out that says leaves. That one, it will give neurotoxicity, it will do your nerves, your brain, something. Oh, Charlie, let's just move on.
I love your frankness. God bless you for that.
Mr. Harry.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, class. Please, I would like to ask how can stem cell made from plant help rejuvenate other cells in the human body? I learned some organizations
Yeah, if I understand your question, how we can get
from plant and I to cure so many diseases. How can we use stem cell from plant to rejuvenate the ones in the or replace the one in the human cells? And I learned there are some organizations, they are coming out, they are extracting these stem cells from plants, made it into like something like food and medicines, and they are using it to cure some diseases. I would like to ask, how are they able to cure those cancer cells?
Yes, you are right. Plants are living organisms, so they have stem cells. Okay, plants are living organisms, so they have stem cells. You know, the body produces stem cells. The body does it. If we eat right, we can get it. But we are not eating right. So what they do is that they try and extract the stem cells of the plant for us to consume in a supplement form, and this one. Then we get more. We can our bodies can produce more stem cells, and then with their intelligence, where problem is, they can now go into it. Okay. Sometimes to the idea of stem cell development, plant stem cell development is to you study how humans, our stem cells come about, and then they feed it with the exact nutrients that the body needs to produce stem cells. Okay. Sometimes that is how it is designed also. So either of this, it is still okay. And as we are advancing, let's take more interest in stem cells or regenerative medicine. Okay, stem cells, and I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
So please, which plant do you think, assuming you want to get some stem cells, which plant do you think how do we extract, maybe apart from maybe clinical way, how can we, using the home use method, maybe planting this in, doing this and this? That's what I would like to ask.
The extraction method, in fact, then we are entering into herbal medicine, and that is not my area. Okay. When you reach herbal medicine, you are going to learn a lot of extraction processes. A lot of extraction processes, and I think you are going to have a wonderful time in your herbal medicine class. I think in level 300 semester level 4, thereabout. Yeah. So don't worry at all. You get there. The extraction processes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Amevoji.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
My question have to do with the cells, and we know there are times that our people, some of our colleagues, especially in the herbal practice, links every condemned disease that one will be suffering from, even blood vision and a lot, to piles or cocoa. I would like to find out from you how piles can destroy the cells to the extent that somebody can suffer from even blood vision and whatsoever. Thank you.
Yeah, we are doing pathology. That's a typical pathology question, but let me try and see. In a biomedical model, even in naturopathy, as you are studying, we don't have anything called cocoa, as it is explained by herbal practitioners. We know piles as hemorrhage. Okay, I say hemorrhage, hemorrhoids. Okay,
Hemorrhoids.
yes. So we know hemorrhoids. If you are suffering from the eye, we have to look at the eye. If you are suffering from whatever, you have to look at it. If it is linked together, you have to know where the link is. One thing is about herbal practitioners is that they have the medicine, but the science is the problem. The science is the problem. The explanation is the problem. Okay, and that's the reason why we are trying to bridge the gap. Okay, that's the reason why we are trying to bridge the gap. And they have a lot of medicine, but to be able to explain the pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinematics is the problem. Okay, and so they will say something is called cocoa. So what is cocoa? Is it found in the liver? Is it found in the kidney? Is it found in the heart? Where is it found? Is it found in the intestine? What is that cocoa? You get it? And that is where the problem is. So we'll be fine. We'll be fine when we are going. But scientific medicine, like we are seeing, does not really see that. It sees disjointed body parts, and that is it. Okay. I hope you are okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Menu, your hand is up, or it was the previous one?
I want to ask something.
Okay.
With the stem cell, so can it be considered as a reserve cell for the other cells that cannot, function well? That's the question.
Can it function as reserve cell for
the other more functioning ones?
Yes, your body is always producing stem cells. Okay, your body is always producing stem cells, and stem cells are, whilst they are there, as stem cells, they can quickly differentiate into any cell type. So because of their intelligence, the way God designed them, if there's a problem comes somewhere, stem cells can go in there to do the work. Okay, so yeah, they can play that role as reserve.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
You're welcome. Any more questions, suggestions, contributions before we bring it to a close? Okay. Yes, Mr. David.
Thank you so very much. So I want to ask this simple question. As a lay person, when we say DNA, I'm still not getting the explanation well. Like if I want to explain to somebody, I just want you to just explain it to me in a simple terms and let me see.
Yeah, I understand you. Don't worry. Next week you understand. Just understand that for the cell, it has something called nucleus, and inside the nucleus, there's something called DNA there. I am going to explain that next week. We are going to do basic genetics. You are going to go into genetics basic one, you understand. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And let's all try as much as, because me, I work my time. I gave the class about 8 times, and then you chose your 3. I am working with that. Once I start, as we advance, if you come to class late, you find yourself a problem because you may not understand certain things. Yeah, so let's all try. If you have finding challenges with the time, see your class rep. I give him 8 time difference. If you have find challenges, see him and see whether he can do some adjustments in there. Other than that, I'm going with the 3 you chose out of the 8. Mr. Men, your hand is up.
No, please. The
Okay.
one.
Okay. So, Mr. David, your hand is up again, or is the earlier one? Okay.
No, sir. It's the earlier one.
Okay. So this is where we bring the curtains to a close for today, and God willing, on Wednesday we shall meet for pathology. Thank you so much, and may the Lord be with us. Bye-bye.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.